WashingTECH.
I watched the internet become this monster that we fully rely on today. And I can't imagine the world without it, even though I came from a world without it.
Are you worried about your kids' safety on the internet? We are here to help. WashingTECH's 5-step checklist will take you through the process of protecting your kids. And we'll give you tips on how to set up the best parental controls for your children on their devices. You want what's best for your children. They deserve to be safe online. Our step-by-step guide will help you make sure they are. Download WashingTECH's online safety checklist today to protect your kids online. Find it at protectyourkids.online. That's protectyourkids.online.
Welcome to the Tech Policy Leaders Podcast.
The world's most influential voices keeping you safe and informed online.
Streaming from Washington, D.C., America's tech law and policy epicenter. These are your leaders. This is the podcast.
Tech Policy Leaders with Joe Miller, founder and CEO of WashingTECH.
WashingTECH, safe and informed since 2014.
My guest today is Anisa Green, Director of Federal Regulatory at AT&T, where she also serves as Chief of Staff for the Executive Vice President and Chief Regulatory Office in AT&T's D.C. office. Anisa has over 24 years of expertise in regulatory, legal, and advocacy work in the telecom sector. She's currently working on universal service regulatory issues with a focus on consumer broadband affordability, digital equity, and rural healthcare matters. Anisa Green. Anisa, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
So what brought you to the world of tech and telecom policy? Tell us about it.
You know, it's interesting when I saw that as an ask that I kind of fell into it. I was not seeking it. When I went to school, I was always set out to be a lawyer, and I was going to become an attorney and defend people who couldn't speak for themselves. That was my life goal. And I moved to DC. I hail from Brooklyn. And when I moved to DC, I got this temp job that had me working at the offices of Ameritech at the time. And I just fell in love with the attorneys that I was working for. And I said, oh, wait, will you hire me kind of thing? And they were like, absolutely. Like it was kind of the perfect marriage. They wanted to hire me. They needed someone. They didn't want me to leave the temp job. And so I was pulled in from a temp job and I've never left. So I did take an LSAT, but I had really, really good mentors that advised me along my career. And one of the pieces of advice that stayed with me was do not get into too much debt before you start a family. So I did not go to law school because that would have just, I don't know if I'd be sitting here being interviewed by you, Mr. Miller, because who knows?
It is quite an investment for sure. So what are the most important issues that folks should know about happening in this space today, especially for those who may be thinking about working in this area?
Oh my gosh, what's great about technology is that it's always moving, it's always advancing, there's always something. There's niche little things. If you are a creative, you can do graphic design, you can do animation. If you want more of the office space and sit behind a computer all day, you can do regulatory issues like I do today. So what's fantastic about the tech space is that it's always moving. And I don't know that you can really get bored unless you just don't have the self-motivation. So top of mind, I think some of the most important issues that are happening in this space today is broadband connectivity, adoption, affordability, accessibility. I think that's one of the top of mind issues behind Spectrum and 5G and getting all the nice bells and whistles on your wireless devices. I think COVID definitely exposed some vulnerabilities in the broadband and connectivity spaces that I think people are talking about today.
Yeah, and turning to your own career, I mean, we were talking offline before we started recording, you've been at AT&T for a long time. Tell us about how the tech, telecom, and media policy landscape has changed over the years.
Oh my gosh, 24 years, right? So I was around when the hot topic was long distance and how local companies get into the long distance space. Now we don't even think about making a call across state lines. And I was around when unis were a hot topic too. We don't even talk about unis at all. No one knows what a uni is, an unbundled network element. That's what allowed for certain things to happen that we take for granted today. And I watched the internet become this monster that we fully rely on today. I remember taking my job and email was still looking like a DOS system, and I had a typewriter, which it would definitely date me, you know. But so much has happened in that time. The landscape has changed so much. And I can't imagine the world without it, even though I came from a world without it. I can't imagine it. I don't know what it's like to call a cab company instead of Ubering with an app on my phone. And I came from a space where I called a cab company. So again, back to my first statement, I just think it's very exciting. There's just so much that can be happening, and there's so much more to come. AI is a very interesting space. I'm not an expert, but I'm watching from the sidelines. And Alexa freaks me out, but I think it's still intriguing that there's a device that's smart enough to answer our questions and do things that we give commands to that we only watched in the movies before. So I think the change is good. I think the change is good, and we're growing through it.
Remember those days calling cabs? I still remember the phone number. It was like 77 all sevens or something like that.
And our kids will know nothing about calling a cab. They couldn't even imagine forget about a rotary phone, a cordless phone, because we thought we were doing something with a cordless phone in the house.
Yeah, remember that?
And I love that I can talk about it. I love that is something that brings me a lot of joy. And still, I appreciate every shiny new gadget that is out on the marketplace today.
Policy is global policy. This is the WashingTECH Tech Policy Podcast, serving the world.
What are some of your passion projects on the side, and how can folks get involved in those things?
So I think, as I mentioned about broadband adoption, affordability, and accessibility, we keep throwing around digital divide, we throw around digital equity, we throw around diversity and inclusion. I think those are all passion areas for me. And I consider, or at least as AT&T, we look at addressing the digital divide as a three-legged stool. That is broadband adoption. We got to get the people to buy the service and believe that the service or the benefit will help them and be empowered with the knowledge of how to use the service. We have affordability. There are many programs now, and even more to come, to bring broadband to vulnerable communities that may not be able to otherwise afford the connectivity. And then accessibility. You have more and more providers building out and investing in the network that will, I'm sure, hopefully in our lifetime, we will see that everyone will have a broadband connection, whether on their personal device or in their homes. And I think, though, there's a lot of passion around that for me, because it speaks to communities that may not have been set up to succeed. And I'm very passionate about everyone has a seat at the table, everyone has an opportunity, and they have to be responsible for what to do with that opportunity. And I feel very passionate about leveling the playing field. So those are, and to get involved, I think you just need to walk out, maybe not even walk outside your door. You just need to get on a device and look up some of the community projects. Your local communities are doing a lot of things to advance not only digital literacy, but also some of this equity and providing opportunities for success. So something as small as a food kitchen and packing lunches to help those, or going and donating clothes to Dress for Success, or helping segments of our community just feel better about themselves so they can go out there and learn more and be better. And I think that's all part of bringing closing the digital divide and bringing more equity. So if you are thinking about getting involved and you are already in the tech space or interested in getting into the tech space, there is a DC-based bar association, the Federal Communications Bar Association, that does really good work. And you don't really have to be an attorney to become a member. And we are having a charity auction coming up, and we donate the proceeds to a selected charity. So you should probably check out the website, www.fcba.org, for more information about the upcoming charity auction and how to get involved in other community opportunities that the FCBA offers.
Anisa Green, Director of Federal Regulatory and Chief of Staff at AT&T, and she's a trustee of the Federal Communications Bar Association. Anisa, thanks for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
WashingTECH.